I think it's important to note, as we have listened to a debate that went on all day today, that there really is no difference within this House whether we should extend the payroll tax holiday or not. Both Republicans and Democrats alike have come together and said, we want to have that tax break for middle-class Americans extended. But if you were listening to the debate, you might be confused by that because we so often heard on the other side of the aisle that they don't believe that the Republican side wants to extend it. And so I want to take a moment and just talk about what I think is happening here with regard to this debate in the House. I mean, let's not make a mistake. We have introduced legislation that is going to extend the payroll tax holiday for 1 year. And what that means is $1,000 in a tax reduction for middle-class Americans throughout the country. And in my district, central and northern Wisconsin, $1,000 for them as well. Across the aisle, a proposal has been made that started its process in the Senate, where we would do a 2-month extension, a 60-day extension, which means the proposal is they would offer middle-class Americans $170 in tax reduction. So we proposed $1,000 of tax reduction, and the Democrats have proposed $170 in tax reduction. And I think as the American people look at this debate, they'd say, well, my goodness, I want to go for the $1,000 deduction, not the $170. And so as we dive in a little more, we hear a lot about partisanship and a lot of differences between the two chambers. And a lot of folks are saying, we can't get this done. Let's adjourn for Christmas, and let's come back at the end of January and through February and see if we can resolve this very important issue. And I would say this, I mean, when we get back next year, there'll be five, maybe 6 weeks to work on this. But this won't be the only issue on the table. We're dealing with budgets and jobs bills. The docket, the calendar is full of issues that we have to address in this House. But for the next 10 days, we have nothing on the agenda. The calendar is clear. Let's get the House and the Senate to come together and address this one very important issue, to extend the payroll tax holiday, and let's do it for a year. We have disagreements. But for 10 days, we can talk about those disagreements and find solutions that don't work for parties, that don't work for chambers, but solutions that work for the American people. And you know what? If the Democrats in the Senate are steadfast in their request that it only be 60 days, hey, I'll go for 60 days. But I just can't imagine that the American people believe that we're going to get a better resolution in 60 days than we can in the next 10 days. And as I look across my district, everyone in my district, they work today, they work tomorrow, they work the next day. They don't take the week off before Christmas. And after Christmas, they work that whole week between Christmas and New Year's. They don't take that off. Why should this House? Why should the Senate? Let's come back and get this work done for the American people. They deserve it. And it has a real impact. People are concerned about how they're going to put food on the table for their kids, how they're going to pay the mortgage. And $1,000 in the year makes a big difference for a lot of people in my district. And to think that the offer is we're going to give you 2 months and $170, that doesn't cut the mustard for them. They want long-term certainty, at least for a year. Give them that break for a year. I have another concern. We proposed the Keystone Pipeline. I know the President has talked about job creation. We've talked about job creation. We've disagreed on how we do it. The President and others will say the government needs to spend money to create jobs and economic growth. We say, well, listen, it comes from the private sector. Here we have a great example with the Keystone Pipeline, where it's private sector money that's going to create 20,000 new jobs, direct new jobs in America if that pipeline goes forward. It's going to be 100,000 indirect jobs, real good paying jobs for hardworking Americans. And the President is saying he doesn't want to do it. I say, listen, Mr. President, we can't wait. The American people cannot wait. Let's come together and say, you know what? 20,000 people, 100,000 hardworking Americans can get a good paying job if you'll sign on to this legislation.